Hi there, and welcome to Sister Catherine's podcast. When we're loved, we thrive. It's that simple. But there are so many things that stand in the way of accepting that God loves us all, that He loves me, that He loves us all uniquely. The truth is that you can walk free of the wounds that are binding your heart and suffocating your relationships. You can experience that total, blessed, forgiving love of God, and I want to accompany you on that journey. So welcome, and today we're going to talk about becoming Christmas. Christmas is coming. A couple of weeks before Thanksgiving, I heard on the news that the Christmas tree had been delivered to Faneuil Hall in Boston, an 85-foot Norwegian pine. It was considered the largest, quote, holiday tree, unquote, in New England that year. Christmas carols and Christmas cards, Christmas mangers in public spaces. For Christians in the United States, these are the sacred yet simple ways we proclaim to each other our faith in the greatest moment of human history, when God became man, when divinity bent low over us in love to lift us up to Himself. So the question of whether it is a Christmas tree or a holiday tree, and whether the manger scene can appear in a public space, does make a big difference to us. And it makes a big difference to others. A few years ago, I was in Chicago before Christmas and visited the Christmas market at Daley Plaza with my nephew. A group surrounded the life-sized nativity scene, where despite the cold and the bustling crowds, young and old had stopped to take in the serene calmness of that sacred story behind our celebration. Not far away from it stood a towering menorah with 7 illuminated candles. Between them stood a giant and lonely letter A, over 8 feet tall, representing the atheist and agnostic community. Around the A, there was no reflective crowd, no joyous merriment, no excited laughter, no joyous hope. But the A stood there as a statement that not everyone feels drawn into the mystery of the Incarnation that is spilled over into our Christmas traditions, and they too want to be heard. Several weeks ago, I received a prayer request and a comment on our Facebook page. The writer was concerned that she was no longer able to use the word blessing in her workplace and felt discriminated against and frightened. These are symptomatic flashpoints for the larger tearing of the soul of a culture in which we are each set against the other. Political agendas positioning themselves to set the rules, to be able to impose themselves on the rest. I think about the Christmas season's tug of war over the rights of the public visibility of Christmas language and display, as well as my Facebook friend and others who feel their rights to express their faith openly are being taken away. And I wonder if we Christians are missing the point altogether. As Christians who reverence the other who accepted and forgave us, experiencing the other as a good and not as a threat should be the hallmark of our common living. It is true we now live in a society where we cannot assume that others share the same foundational beliefs about the good of humanity as we. Nevertheless, it has always been the human experience that many different voices need to converge in a dialogue in which we consider the other one with ourselves. A dialogue in which we are all together trying to come closer to truth. Christmas teaches us that truth, more than each group vying for power in an argument, is more correctly seen as a relationship. It could happen that some feel there is no purpose in dialoguing with opposing viewpoints, or even that it is wrong to do so. Or perhaps they realize they do not have the skills for dialoguing. After all, it is a wide-ranging dialogue we are invited into, and one in which society no longer gives Christianity a privileged position. We need not fear, for in reality it wasn't Christian laws or juridical structures that assured the centuries-long existence and flourishing of Christianity. It was, and is still, only and always the event of Christ, whom we first encountered in person as a human race 2,000 years ago, and whom we can encounter anew at each moment. Let me tell you a story from my early years as a daughter of St. Paul when I was studying at Boston College. One day I was waiting for a meeting in one of their smaller houses. Pizza had been set out in the small kitchenette for the early arrivals. As I shared a few moments of company with fellow students, a sister came in, crossed through the dining area, and spoke briefly with the professor. In a few moments, she retraced her steps and disappeared up the stairs. I felt as though I had been struck, and my heart was overwhelmed. Who was that sister was the only thing on my mind for days. She had said nothing, had not even seen me, but I was captivated by someone who evidently had a profoundly life-altering experience with Christ that now shone through her every move. This person was Mother Olga. Mother Olga was born and raised in Iraq and is now the founder of the Daughters of Mary of Nazareth. I sought her out, hoping to discover what she had that I didn't have. Christianity has always been spread by those who have been captivated by Christ in their spirit, in their soul, body, and heart. During this brief encounter with her, my heart leapt as a response to something I couldn't explain but knew was real. It is in this way that Christians bring to life the convictions we believe are true. The other will not be persuaded by an argument, but can be convinced by the Christ who encounters them, even if we are simply walking by. In this way, we spread the blessed infectiousness of the newness of Christ and the witness of his humanity. See how they love one another. From the origin of Christianity, people were so attracted by the joy that they saw in the followers of Jesus, so attracted that they eventually felt they no longer could tenably hold to their viewpoints and to their prior beliefs. This joy and this love then spills over into legal and social action, ministries of justice, and service to the most vulnerable. Pope Emeritus Benedict XVI stated in his book, Christianity and the Crisis of Cultures, "Our greatest need in the present historical moment is people who make God credible in this world by means of the enlightened faith they live. We need men who keep their eyes fixed on God, learning from him what true humanity means, so their hearts can open the hearts of others." So here are some suggestions for this Christmas and holiday season. Whenever you feel an inner angst, frustration, or fear from the tension of living with and among people of differing values and beliefs, step back, enter within yourself, and take note of how these feelings are registering within you. Then turn to Jesus and ask him directly, Jesus, be with me here. I would like you to show me where you are in this situation. The hope of humanity lies in people being able to find Christ in you and in me along the path of their life. Would you like to continue this conversation? I invite you to join me on my Facebook group. Sign up for my newsletter, Touching the Sunrise, and get immediate access to over 50 resources on Patreon when you support me for just $2 a month. I hope to see you there. God bless you.